Hey guys, if you're shopping for knives and gear, make sure you check out the description of the video you're watching right now for links to some great online retailers. There's also individual links for knives that I personally recommend. Thanks! What's going on, YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another interesting knife review slash knife overview to share with you guys. This is the Spyderco Swayback. This is a knife that many people have been very interested in since they announced it. This knife was sent to me by @AmateurKnives on Instagram. Please give him a follow. It's because of people like him that I'm able to bring you guys daily knife content. It's also because of my generous patrons. Thanks so much for supporting me right now. If you'd like to get your hands on some of these cool stickers and some other exclusive benefits, there is, of course, a link down in the description. Your support would mean the world to me. And follow me on Instagram if you haven't. Thanks. Okay, so this is a Marcin Sleesh design. I am 100% sure that I messed up at least a part of that. Anybody who's not familiar with Marcin Sleesh, in terms of Spyderco, he's done the Spidey Chef and of course the legendary Sleesh Bowie, which I gave the Sleesh Bowie I gave a very positive review to. I love that thing. The Spidey Chef, not my cup of tea. Very well made, not my cup of tea. I find this to be somewhere in the middle. We're going to talk all about that. This is based on a traditional swayback design, which is something I had to kind of familiarize myself with, and that's essentially this odd curvature that we've got going on back here. Let's do a measurement. Overall length, the swayback coming in at, it's not quite 8 1/4, 8 1/8. Blade length coming in at about 3.6, cutting edge coming in at about 3.4. How about some size comparisons? Up against the Ontario Rat Model 1, Rat 1 is coming in at 8.6 inches overall. How about up against the Spyderco PM2? Spyderco PM2 coming in at 8.3 inches overall. How about up against the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue? Ritter Hogue coming in at 8 inches overall. And last but not least, the Spyderco Para 3. Spyderco Para 3 coming in at 7 1/4 inches overall. How's the action of this guy? So this knife is made in the Taichung, Taiwan factory, for anybody who doesn't know. That's where you're going to get, for the most part, you're going to get the best fit and finish. You're going to get the really high-end materials as far as, in this case, Cts Xhp and titanium. But fit and finish overall is just better. The US stuff is great. I like my US Spydercos, but I got to be honest, Taichung, Taiwan does it better. That's just my experience. I've handled a lot of Spyderco knives, a lot of knives in general. Spyderco, the Taichung, Taiwan factory and Spyderco does it better. This is running on washers. Very typical washer feeling from Taichung, Taiwan, and by that I mean very hydraulic smooth. You can do the thumb flick. Your thumb's going to slam into that titanium right there because you have access to this hole. It's just not, the opening's not quite big enough. You can still do it. It's not that big of a deal. It's just for somebody looking for fidget factor from a Spyderco knife, this isn't the best one. It's smooth, it's high quality, right? Washers, of course, the benefit being that it keeps debris out of there and it's very durable. They've done a good job making sure that it's nice and smooth and solid on the inside, so that's great. If I had to give it a letter grade, I'd probably give it a B-. It's okay, right? Let's go ahead and do the hardware check. Get out my handy-dandy WIA bit selector and WIA magnetic driver, 2 items that are very inexpensive and very recommendable. You can find them down in the down at the very bottom of my description. Old dialogue there. The pivot's going to be a T8. Yep. And the body screws are going to be T6. That's usually how it is. Let's go ahead and just check that. There's your T6. And get that body screw checked. There we go. Yeah, T6. Okay. T6, don't like it. Wish everything was T8 or bigger because T6 heads can strip a little easier. Just be careful when you're disassembling it. It is not that big of a deal. Shouldn't be considered a deal breaker. Let's go ahead and do carry profile. The first thing I'm going to do is actually measure the blade stock thickness because that always kind of slows things down. Let's just get that out of the way. Blade stock thickness on the Swayback is coming in at, well, that says 135. I feel like it's more like 140. Yeah, 140 thousandths. That's pretty typical for Spyderco. It's actually a blade stock thickness that I prefer. Generally on blades, that kind of yields what I want. It's just my opinion there. Let's go ahead and do carry profile thickness up against the Spyderco Para 3. It's about the same thickness. We do have contouring going on the titanium, which is something I always appreciate. So that's nice that they've kept that down and not made it, overly cumbersome. How about height and length up against 2 knives that have unquestionably awkward carry profiles, the Spyderco PM2 and Para 3. A little longer than the Para 3, a little shorter than the PM2, nowhere near as tall in any area. I have this awkward sort of banana hanging from a tree look. That's part of the Swayback design. But overall, the profile is one that's just not going to be problematic in the pocket. You know, of course, like I always say, if you regularly carry the Bug Out, the Para 3 lightweight, smaller knives, or you've got athletic shorts or tighter pants, this may not be for you. If you've been carrying full-size knives and you wear regular jeans, or what I consider to be regular jeans, regular khakis, regular work pants, whatever, it's not going to be a problem. This knife is titanium, and there is no milling on the inside. And it's a full-size knife, but it honestly doesn't feel that heavy. I think it's actually somewhere right around 4 ounces. Yeah, 3.95 ounces. It's not a problem for me. Some people go by ounce and inch. Some people say, 4 ounces is the cutoff, whatever you think. Profile matters, and in this case, the profile is easy, one that is easy to carry, and it's really not all that heavy. So I don't think it's going to be a problem for most people, though the blade length might be illegal in your area, so make sure you check your local laws. All right, let's go ahead and talk about the anatomy here. We've got kind of a acidy tumbled titanium handle, and it's got a very simplistic aesthetic, and that is the case with the other two knives that I mentioned, the Spyderco Chef and the Sleesh Boy. I like this. I like a monochromatic look. Not everybody likes it. I like simplicity. That's kind of my thing, and this has definitely got a simplistic aesthetic. There are nice balances between, stuff that's more matte and stuff that's more reflective, and I like all the contrast here. This is a sharp-looking knife, no pun intended. Or, well, maybe the pun was intended, whatever. But this is nice looking. I like how this looks. The lines it's kind of weird. I mean, initially what drew it to me was, I was like, that's weird. And then I had to learn about what a swayback was. A lot of people are like, cringe, unsub, whatever. But, yeah, it looks nice, the scales are contoured. I love contoured titanium. I love the slight tumbling they've got going on there. Everything's nicely knocked down. In some places, it's a little sudden, and in areas like this, because this area is not really that big, and that's where you're having to, engage the opening hole. It's a little bit weird. It's kind of clunky. I'm not going to say it's inconvenient or uncomfortable. It's just clunky versus a lot of other Spydercos and other knives. In today's modern knife world, fidget factor is a big thing. So people want to flick their knives out. They want to kick them out, right? Spyderco knives, we want to do the reverse flick. The reverse flick is not possible for a right-handed person on this knife. You can't get your finger in there. If you're left-handed, see if I can do it. Yeah. So that was awkward. Yeah, left-handed people, you can totally do it. You're going to be dealing with a right-handed frame lock, but you do have a left-hand position for the pocket clip. It's smooth enough, and the detent is tuned well enough. I'll give you guys a shot of the detent. Click. It's nice. You can totally do it. I think after a while of sitting around on the couch and doing this, it would really bother me. I think I would just start to open it like this. You do have to put a little bit of extra pressure to get enough of the meat of your thumb in there to kind of wheel it open. These are little nitpicky things, but this is a different action than a lot of the fidgety stuff that we're used to. And I wanted to point that out. Again, action and, ease of manipulation is probably about a B-. I'm not going to grade it. That's real foggy, but that's just what I'm feeling. I do like that we've only got 2 body screws on each side, and it's a pillar construction, nice open body construction, so it's easy to clean out. I like how the hardware looks, the dome head hardware. It's just nice, It's not like, some hardware is like, it looks unnecessary or weird with the design. This is just very straightforward and simple. I like it. The blade is definitely the part that is the most attractive. We have that typical Taichung Taiwan slightly reflective tumbling that's just beautiful. As a result of the tumbling, all of the edges are nicely knocked down. This is a super high quality looking blade. I really, really like how the blade looks. The nice thing is, despite you not having, a lot of access to the thumb hole, at least that area is knocked down in there, so it doesn't fight your thumb like some of the satin finished Spyderco knives. It's like a cheese grater in some of those, but now this is nice. Really, really nice. We've got a flat that carries out about 60%, maybe 55% the length of the blade. We've got it's definitely hollow ground. It's a high hollow ground, and then this modified sheep's foot / Warncliffe, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, it's nice. This isn't going to be a knife that, it's definitely, like, as far as thinness behind the edge, yeah, it does get decently thin behind the edge. You're going to be able to do your cutting test, your slicing test. It's not going to be super efficient at slicing because it doesn't have belly. But, for your detailed work, your draw cuts, your little whatever it is that you're doing, blades like this are awesome. As far as, like a utilitarian EDC blade shape, These types of blade shapes are just wonderful. Really like it. Down at the tip, it does get fairly thin. There's a decent amount of material down, out there at the tip, but it's a pretty delicate tip. Obviously, you don't want to be jamming that into anything and making your wiggle cuts or your pry cuts or anything like that. This is Cts Xhp. Cts Xhp is a wonderful steel, and it is, for whatever reason, I mean, just it's going the way of all, steels at some point. It's just being kind of, overshadowed by some of these new exciting steels that actually Spyderco is, doing. The Spy 27, the LC200N, are they? Yeah. And then, had a brain fart there, the Rex 45. There's a whole bunch of stuff, right? S45VN. Cts Xhp is wonderful steel. It's one of my favorite steels. It is stainless, holds an edge for an extremely long time, reasonably tough. It's very well rounded. Look on the internet, hear what people have to say about it. You're not going to be finding a lot of negative when it comes to Cts Xhp. It definitely does belong in this price range, and I have no issue with it whatsoever. Swiping some fingerprints off of there. It says Taichung Taiwan. We've got the Sleesh logo there, and then we've got Spyderco and Cts Xhp and the little bug there. It's just a nice looking blade. That's definitely the highlight of this knife. No sharpening choil. Edge is done really, really well, even on both sides. Very beautiful. That is definitely the biggest benefit. That's going to happen sometimes with this knife. You just don't always catch it exactly right. If the biggest draw for you to this knife is the blade, then yeah, that's a huge determining factor. I can completely understand that. Moving down to the handle scales here, we do have a lanyard hole. It's out of the way. It's not being prioritized, so whatever. Pocket clip. WTF. Why do we keep putting these generic Spyderco clips on these really nice knives? Number one, when I see this on a design that everything else is so specific to the knife, right? It's begging for its own thing. Or, I don't often say this, or the wire clip. The wire clip is a generic clip, but the wire clip is simple looking. It's minimalist looking. I think this has a lot of minimalist qualities to it in terms of the aesthetics. So the wire clip would have made a lot of sense, and I think it would have been less obtrusive. It also cheapens this knife up big time. It's the same thing with the Python. Why? I mean, on the Bowie, right? The Sleesh Bowie, they had the wire clip, and if I'm not mistaken, did they have it on the Spyder Chef? I can't remember. This clip does not belong on this knife. I really don't like that. There's nothing wrong specifically with the Spyderco clip. It's an okay clip. I just really don't like it on this knife, especially for what they want for it. That's a bummer. But yeah, it'll hold the knife to your pants. It's going to carry about right here. So if you don't care about the clip, then fine. Unlike a lot of other Taichung Taiwan Spydercos, this actually has a steel lock bar insert that doubles as the over travel stop. Now, I'm sure some of you looked at that. Oh my gosh, the lockup is so late. There's nothing wrong with the lockup, right? I generally prefer my lockup on a brand new knife somewhere between 20 and 50%. This is locking up a little later. It's something like 65%. It's completely and totally solid. The fact that that is steel on steel contact means that it's not going to wear very quickly. It shouldn't be something that you should worry about. I think this is pretty typical for the Sleesh Bowie. Some people might get some that are, again, issues with deployment. A little earlier, a little later, whatever. It's not something that you should really... The only time that it should be a problem is, number one, if it's like 10% or less, that's not safe. Or if this is worn all the way over and it's clicking against the other side. Anything in between is totally fine. The knife is absolutely perfectly centered and has completely and totally solid lockup. The stop pin is internal, so you can't see it out here, and that's kind of nice. As far as disengaging the lock bar, yeah, there's plenty of room to get in there and do that. And the blade comes down, and if you like to, what I like to do is wait till it contacts my finger, then move it out of the way, and that's nice. It's very, very easy to do. There's not much of a situation where you're running the risk of putting your finger on the lock bar, right? Just because it is kind of a slender profile, but I find that it's just not an issue with this guy. Ergonomics, it's a little bit awkward. I can't say that I am in love with this shape of handle. And I'm sure people are going to want to type me up a big long book and explain the origins of the Swayback design. Whatever. I can tell you about how this thing feels in my hand, and it is not the most comfortable thing in the entire world. Will it work? Sure. This little area up here, just a little bit, that kind of suggests, as far up as where your index finger should be. You can hold on to it. It just doesn't feel like it's made for the human hand. It's a little more comfortable in the reverse grip, but I just want the handle to curve the other way. And I understand at that point it wouldn't be, it wouldn't be this way back. But it's just all I can do is just tell you guys how it feels, and it's all right. I can hold on to it. It's a knife that I feel like might slip out of my hands a little bit easier than, in fact, a lot easier than designs like this, where the ergonomics are a certain way. But again, this is a design element, right? It's one of those things where it was intentionally designed this way. You either like it or you don't. I'm not the biggest fan of it. As far as ergonomics go, I mean, if I was going to grade it, I don't know why I'm doing this like paper grading for this episode. I'd give it a C-. It's just not great. I can hold on to it. It's just a little bit below average for me. So again, little things that I can nitpick. This does not have anything, it's just barely flickable. It's kind of clunky to operate. You can operate it though. It's got T6 screws, no big deal. Blade is just about perfect. I got no issues for the blade. Pocket clip sucks. Wire clip would be way better on this, or something specific to the Swayback, or this specific design. I'm really bent out of shape about that pocket clip. I don't know. I think that might be, those might be really the big ones there. One of the big issues, I think, is the price. This, of course, will be linked down below where you can pick this up yourself. But they want $273 for this thing. It's titanium. It is, in terms of the manufacturing quality, it is very, very well put together. There's nothing sloppy here. It's, the design is what it is. It was all intentional, but there's nothing sloppy about how it was put together. This is a very premium product. Competition-wise, I understand people are going to, well, you can get titanium and XHP or titanium and M390 on bearings and this or that for, you can get that for 200 or less than 200 now. It's not necessarily about the materials, right? A lot of times it's about, the excess that goes into it. Little teeny tiny, added luxuries or added finishes that just complement everything, that it does, it causes, it's extra work. With extra work comes extra costs on their end. Whether or not you care about that stuff is besides the point. A lot of times it's just that stuff costs extra money. If you don't like it, then you don't have to buy it, That being said, I still feel like this is a bit overboard. This feels more 240-ish to me. I can't tell you exactly why. It's just 273 stung a little bit. Well, I don't know. This isn't... The aesthetic is interesting. That's what drew me to it, right? The blade, love the blade, wonderful. Love Cts Xhp. Love these simplistic looks, right? The contour titanium, the simple button head screws. In a way, I really do like the idea of this being kind of just a classy yet simple utilitarian cutting tool that does have a blade shape that's going to accentuate just simple cutting tasks, or in some cases more complicated, detailed work. I kind of like that. Wire clip on this guy would have gone a long way. And I don't know exactly what else they could have done to make this ergonomically more friendly without taking away from the Swayback design. But if that were the case, right, it's like I'm offering a critique and I'm not offering a solution. So that's what I'm saying is meaningless. But the one big thing, that pocket clip sucks. The wire clip would have gone a long ways. And just something else to make me feel a little bit more secure or just less awkward with this thing in hand. I suppose I can, let past some of the, comments, about the action, or not the action. The action's fine. It's just the manipulation is a little bit clunky. And again, it's part of the design. This knife's okay. Truthfully, though, it's just not my favorite thing in the whole world. Some people are going to fall head over heels for this. And if you're wanting to know, is this a high quality item, right? Is it well made? Is it utilitarian? Yes, it is. It just doesn't have all of the stuff that I want in a knife for me. And I'm not really impressed with the price, and that pocket clip really bothers me. This is going to go on my Spyderco knives playlist, but it's not going to go on my recommended knives playlist. It's just not something. I feel like there are plenty of other things between $250 and $300 that I would recommend over this. So many, in fact, that it's just not something I can put there. Good knife, right? I guess since I've been, paper grading this this whole review, what would I give this? I guess overall I'd give it a C+, right in the middle. It's okay. It'll pass, but it's not going to be something that I can recommend, not something I can put up on a pedestal. Interesting, though. Interesting knife for sure. Like I said, links down in the description if you want to just say, whatever, complex, I don't care. I want to pick this up anyway. That's going to be pretty much it today, guys. Follow me on Instagram. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that metal complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.